Naomi stood in the center of the Raw ring, microphone in hand, the crowd electric but uneasy, and for the first time in years, you could see her body shaking. This wasn't her usual glow, this wasn't the confident, smiling Naomi we've seen dancing down that ramp for over a decade. This was a broken woman, trying to keep herself from collapsing in front of the entire WWE universe. And the moment she opened her mouth, the entire arena went silent. Naomi said something nobody expected to hear. She said she can't do this anymore. She said the pressure, the politics, the disrespect, the constant battle backstage, has finally broken her. And in that 1 second, Raw became less about storylines and more about the raw, unfiltered truth of a woman who has been carrying the weight of an entire division on her shoulders while being ignored, mistreated, and disrespected at every turn. And here's the part that should make every fan furious. Naomi revealed that WWE never wanted her to succeed. She admitted that behind the scenes, she was told she'd never be the face of the women's division because she wasn't marketable enough. She confessed that even her championship run years ago was cut short because they had other plans. The look on her face when she said those words told you everything. This wasn't part of a script. This wasn't a promo. This was Naomi's soul, pouring out for the entire world to see. Fans were already chanting her name, trying to give her strength, but Naomi shook her head. She told them, "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the nights I cried, the times I begged for opportunities, the times I watched others get chances that were taken away from me because they didn't want me to shine." And then, her voice cracked. Naomi broke down. She dropped to her knees in the middle of the ring and sobbed, unable to continue her speech. The crowd didn't boo, they didn't chant something funny, they stood up and applauded. Because for the first time, Naomi wasn't just a performer. She was a human being finally saying everything that WWE tried to keep hidden. But here's where things get ugly, because WWE cameras kept rolling. The company wanted this breakdown broadcasted live. They wanted to use her pain for ratings. And that's what should make every single fan watching sick to their stomach. Naomi managed to get back up, her makeup running, her hands shaking, and she revealed the real reason she was standing there: the Women's World Championship situation. She said Rhea Ripley's injury left the division in chaos, but the truth is, Naomi was never considered for that title picture. Not once. Despite being one of the most athletic and beloved women on the roster, WWE management never even thought about giving her the shot she deserved. Instead, they put the spotlight on the same names they always do, leaving Naomi once again pushed to the background. At this point, you could hear fans in the crowd chanting, "You deserve it." Louder and louder, but Naomi just shook her head. She said, "I used to believe that if I worked hard enough, if I smiled enough, if I kept showing up, they'd finally give me my moment. But my moment never comes. And maybe it never will." That right there, that sentence, was the dagger in the heart of every Naomi fan. Because what you were watching wasn't a superstar hyping up a storyline. It was a woman openly questioning if her career, her loyalty, and her sacrifices meant nothing. And before anyone could process it, Naomi looked into the hard camera and asked the WWE Universe one haunting question: "Do you really want me here? Or should I just walk away?" The crowd erupted, shouting, "We want Naomi," over and over again, but you could tell her spirit was shattered. This wasn't about crowd support. This was about a company that repeatedly refused to give her what she earned. And then, her microphone slipped from her hand. Naomi turned to leave the ring. But suddenly, the Women's World Championship was brought out and placed on a podium at ringside. The vacant title, gleaming under the arena lights, symbolized everything Naomi had been fighting for her entire career but never truly received: respect, recognition, validation. She walked over to it slowly, stared at it, and you could see every emotion in her face: anger, heartbreak, desire, exhaustion. Naomi whispered something to herself, barely audible, but fans caught it on the mic: "This should have been mine." Naomi slowly lifted the Women's World Championship, her hands trembling, not from excitement, but from the weight of everything it represented. Every snub, every backstage whisper, every time she was overlooked for a storyline or shoved to the sidelines flashed before her eyes. And yet, she held it now, physically, but emotionally. That was a battle still raging inside her. She turned to the crowd again, tears streaking down her face, mascara running like rivers of frustration. "Do you see this?" she shouted, her voice cracking, echoing through every corner of the arena. This is the title I was supposed to fight for. This is what I was denied. And yet here it is, just waiting for someone to grab it." But Naomi didn't just grab it. No, she paused, staring at it as if questioning her own worth. And in that silence, every fan watching knew this was more than a championship. This was a statement, a challenge, a confrontation. She slammed the title onto the mat, Not violently, not angrily, but with the kind of despair that pierces your soul. The sound echoed like a gunshot through the arena. Naomi looked around, wild-eyed, and said something that shook the WWE Universe to its core. Do you think they'll let me have this? After all I've given, after all I've sacrificed, do you think they'll let me be champion? The crowd erupted in chants of, yes, yes, yes. But Naomi didn't smile. She looked broken, yes, but also like a volcano ready to erupt. The tears were still falling, but now there was fire in her eyes, a fire that screamed, don't underestimate me. Suddenly, the Titantron lit up. A backstage video package played, showing clips of her early career, her moments of triumph, her battles against the odds. It was beautiful, but brutal. The voiceover reminded everyone of her talents, her perseverance, her unmatched athleticism. And then, it cut to clips of management meetings, showing executives making decisions that blatantly ignored her. Naomi's face hardened. She spoke again, this time more composed, but every word carried venom. They told me I wasn't marketable enough. They said I didn't fit their mold. They told me I'd never headline. They told me, that I was good, but not good enough. And now they expect me to smile, to wave, to cheer for someone else while I'm supposed to be happy. Happy. Her voice grew louder, echoing off the arena walls, shaking everyone in their seats. She stomped toward the ropes, gripping the top turnbuckle, looking every bit the warrior the WWE Universe has loved for over a decade. And you know what? She continued, her tone dropping to something dark and dangerous. I've played by their rules. I've danced to their tune. I've smiled, I've cheered, I've put on a show, and for what? To be told I don't matter. To be told my talent is irrelevant. Fans screamed back, their voices joining hers, feeding her energy. Naomi took a deep breath, wiping the tears from her cheeks, and whispered words that were barely audible over the roar. No more. That's when the arena went completely silent. Even the commentators, who had been building this storyline for months, were speechless. Naomi took the microphone one last time, her voice steady but filled with raw intensity. I'm done asking. I'm done waiting. I'm done proving myself to people who don't care. If you want me, truly want me, in this division, I will show you. But I will do it on my terms. And if anyone stands in my way. Her words hung in the air like a storm about to break. The camera zoomed in on her face. Tears, sweat, determination, fury. Every fan watching could feel it. This was the moment Naomi stopped being the underdog, the overlooked, the sidelined superstar. This was the moment she became untouchable. The Women's World Championship gleamed under the lights, and Naomi lifted it again, this time with purpose. She stared into the camera and said one chilling word. Watch. And with that, she dropped the mic. Naomi didn't walk. She stormed out of the ring, leaving the WWE Universe buzzing, angry, and desperate for what comes next. Every fan knew this was more than just a promo. This was the start of a revolution, Naomi's revolution. But behind the scenes, whispers started. Who would step up to challenge her? Could the company handle her fury? Could anyone survive the intensity of a Naomi who's done with playing nice? Every woman in the locker room suddenly looked at her differently. Every fan suddenly realized that history was about to be rewritten. And the WWE Universe. They were left reeling, furious, inspired, and begging for more. Backstage, chaos was unfolding. Every locker room monitor was showing Naomi's emotional eruption live, and the reactions were priceless. Some superstars looked shocked, some looked guilty, and a few couldn't hide their excitement. But there was one thing everyone felt. Naomi had just flipped the entire women's division upside down. Rhea Ripley, the reigning champion before her injury, was pacing in her locker room, glaring at the screen. Her jaw tightened as Naomi's words echoed in her head. I'm done asking. I'm done waiting. Ripley had been planning to return soon, expecting a clear path to reclaim her title, but Naomi's outburst had changed the game completely. The tension was palpable. Ripley slammed her locker, muttering to herself. Did she just claim it? Meanwhile, other superstars began huddling together, whispering, eyes darting toward the entrance ramp. Sasha Banks, a former rival, shook her head, her expression a mix of respect and fear. She's done being ignored, Sasha said quietly. And anyone who thinks they can step to her now, they're gonna regret it. Back in the ring, Naomi wasn't done. She returned, microphone in hand, her presence alone causing a wave of electricity. She addressed the crowd again, her voice cutting through every cheer, every chant. This isn't just about me. This isn't about one title. This is about respect. This is about fairness. This is about standing up for every woman who's ever been told she isn't enough, that she doesn't fit their mold, that she has to play their game just to survive. The crowd erupted. Signs waved high. Fans screamed her name. Naomi's words hit every fan like a lightning bolt. For a moment, The arena became more than just a stage, it became a movement. Every cheer, every chant, every applause fueled her fire. And then, the shocking moment came. Charlotte Flair's music hit. The nature girl strode down the ramp, confident, calculated, smirking like she knew exactly what she was walking into. Naomi's eyes locked on her immediately, every fiber of her body tense, ready. Charlotte stepped into the ring, microphone in hand, her presence alone igniting the crowd. Well, Naomi. Look at you, crying on my favorite stage. I've got to admit, it's entertaining. But if you think you can just grab a title, scream at the world, and walk away without consequences, think again. Naomi didn't flinch. She tightened her grip on the Women's World Championship and fired back, her voice cutting like a blade. Charlotte, this isn't about entertainment. This isn't about consequences. This is about truth. And the truth is, I'm done being told what I can or cannot do. I've earned everything, and if anyone tries to stop me, anyone, they're going to see what happens when a woman like me snaps. Charlotte smirked, taking a step closer. Oh, I see. You're finally mad. Good. Because this isn't a game, Naomi. You want respect. You want that shiny belt. Then you're gonna have to go through me. The crowd erupted into a frenzy. This was no longer a promo. This was a full-blown showdown brewing live on Raw. Every fan was on their feet, some screaming, some holding their heads in disbelief. Naomi's tears were gone. Now, there was only rage, only fire, only a desire to prove the world wrong. Naomi's response was simple but deadly. I don't care about you, Charlotte. I don't care about anyone. If you want a fight, bring it. But understand this, nothing, and I mean nothing, will stop me from claiming what's mine. And everyone watching, remember this night. Remember how I stood here. Remember how I refused to be silenced. Charlotte's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second, just long enough for Naomi to strike. The tension between these two superstars was palpable. You could feel it in the crowd. You could feel it through the screen. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was the beginning of a war. And as Naomi stormed out of the ring for a second time, the WWE universe was left reeling. Social media exploded instantly. Clips of her breakdown, her speech, her stare down with Charlotte were trending worldwide within minutes. Fans couldn't stop talking. The commentators were practically losing their minds live on air. Some were calling it the greatest emotional Raw moment in years, others were furious at WWE for letting this happen in such a raw, uncontrolled way. And amidst all the chaos, one thing became crystal clear. Naomi had just rewritten the rules of the women's division. She wasn't the underdog anymore. She wasn't a background player. She wasn't going to play by anyone else's rules. Naomi was a force, a storm, and every woman, every executive, every fan now knew, if Naomi wanted something, she would stop at nothing to get it. And the Women's World Championship. That wasn't just a belt. That was the symbol of the revolution Naomi just started. And WWE, for the first time, realized they might have unleashed something they can't control. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric. WWE superstars were whispering, pacing, and strategizing, because Naomi had just flipped the entire division on its head. Alliances were forming in secret. Some superstars were nervous, some thrilled, and a few were already plotting how to survive the storm Naomi had unleashed. Rhea Ripley, recovering from her injury, was glaring at a monitor, fists clenched. She's trying to take over before I even step back in, Ripley muttered to herself. Ripley had assumed she'd walk right back into a title match, but Naomi had just thrown a wrench into every plan. And Ripley wasn't the only one. Everyone backstage realized that Naomi was no longer just another superstar. They were dealing with a woman fueled by raw emotion, pain, and an unquenchable desire to take control. Meanwhile, a few veterans were quietly nodding in approval. Bianca Belair, known for her fierce determination, watched the screen with a knowing smile. Finally, she said softly, someone else isn't playing nice. Someone else is actually standing up for themselves. And just when the tension couldn't get any higher, WWE Creative decided to escalate the chaos even further. The arena lights dimmed, and a cryptic video package started playing on the Titantron. Clips of Naomi's career highlights, her first championship, her iconic entrances, her incredible athleticism, were mixed with shots of backstage meetings, contract negotiations, and moments where she'd been denied opportunities. The video ended with a single phrase burning across the screen. The time is now. The crowd erupted. Chants of, Naomi, 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 filled every corner of the arena. Fans were desperate to see what would happen next. And then, out of nowhere, Sonya Deville's music hit. The enforcer herself strode down the ramp, eyes locked on Naomi. Deville wasn't smiling. She wasn't talking. She was a predator sizing up her prey, and Naomi was standing right in the middle of the ring, her championship gleaming under the lights. The confrontation was intense. Words were exchanged. Fiery, cutting, emotional words that left every fan on the edge of their seat. Deville accused Naomi of making a spectacle out of her pain, of undermining the division, and of thinking she could just walk in and claim what wasn't hers. Naomi, still trembling from earlier but now brimming with fury, fired back. I've given everything. I've fought every battle, endured every slight, and proven over and over again that I belong here. And now, no one will stop me. The tension was palpable. Every eye in the arena was glued to the ring. Every fan watching knew that the women's division had just entered a new era. Alliances and rivalries were being rewritten in real time. Naomi wasn't just fighting for a title. She was fighting for respect, for recognition, for the vindication she'd been denied for years. And then, the shocking moment, Naomi grabbed the microphone and issued a challenge. Not just to one opponent, but to all challengers. If anyone thinks they're stepping in my way, stepping in front of me, or questioning my worth, come now. Come tonight. Let's see who truly belongs in this division. The time is now. The spotlight is mine. And anyone who wants it, will have to take it from me. The crowd went absolutely wild. WWE cameras cut to shocked faces backstage. Ripley, Flair, Banks, Belair, all processing the bombshell Naomi had just dropped. Social media exploded. Clips of Naomi's outburst, her emotional breakdown, her stare-downs with Charlotte and Deville, were trending worldwide within minutes. Fans were furious at WWE for allowing this raw display of emotion, but they were also inspired. And as Naomi lifted the Women's World Championship once more, staring into the camera with fire in her eyes, she whispered words that would echo through the WWE universe for months to come. This belt isn't just a prize. It's my proof. Proof that no one, and I mean no one, can deny me my destiny. With that, she dropped the microphone. Naomi didn't just leave the ring. She stormed up the ramp, fists clenched, championship in hand, leaving every fan screaming for more. Every superstar backstage knew one thing for certain. A revolution had begun, and Naomi was leading it. The WWE Universe had witnessed raw emotion, unmatched intensity, and a declaration that could change the women's division forever. Naomi's Raw appearance wasn't just a moment, it was a statement. And for anyone thinking this was the end, oh no, baby, this was just the beginning.